it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts, UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Thank you for joining me again today. Today I've got lots of cards to share with you. Well, sort of. So, as you know, I am currently, as you see this, in Orlando at our half-yearly convention, the OnStage convention, which is an event that's only open to Stampin' Up demonstrators, and I'm going to the 3-day live event. We have local events as well in each of the countries that we are operating in, but because it's our 30th anniversary and because I hit Silver Elite this year, I'm treating myself to the 3-day event in Orlando, where there will be about 6,500 demonstrators, and we'll be being shown all the new stuff that is coming out in January. So that'll be exciting. I get to go to Epcot with other Stampin' Up leaders as part of the centre stage celebration, which is specifically for Silver Elite demonstrators and above. So it's all terribly exciting. It's the first time I've been to the US for about 6 years. So it's, yeah, going to be good fun. But I thought I would show you how I have made my swap card. This is my general swap card, so it's one of the things that we do at these conventions is when we meet other demonstrators, we exchange ideas. So we make a card and we make all the same, or in my case I've made them all the same but with different in colours. So these are the 2018-2020 in colours. So I've made 20% in each of the colours. So yeah, basically I've taken just over a pack of 12 by 12 cardstock and made 4 by 4 cards. And I've made them 4 by 4 because they're smaller to carry, and also because a lot of the demonstrators will be from the US, obviously. They use different size cardstock, so I thought 4 by 4 would be kind of international. So I thought I would show you how I made it, and I made them using the Stamparatus because I'm making over 100. So making 100 cards is kind of challenging. So this is how I've made it. So I'm using the Stamparatus. I've mounted all my stamps, and I'll go through those in a moment. I've used the new Stamparatus mini grid paper, and I've cut a 2 by 3 piece out. And that's where I'm going to place my 2 by 3 Whisper White cardstock. So that's kind of the key, is that this always goes back into the same place, regardless of which stamp I use. I'm going to use the lovely lipstick version because it's easier for you to see as much as anything. I've still got a few to make, so from my point of view, it doesn't make any difference. I'm using my old Early Espresso purely because I'm waiting for the new ink refill for the new ink, because the new ink in the pads that look like this has got a defoamer in it, and I don't want to put the old ink onto my new Early Espresso ink pad, and I stupidly forgot to order a new refill, which, bearing in mind I'm using a lot of Early Espresso, would have been sensible, really, but there we go. Such is life. So I am using 2 stamp sets because we have been asked to, it's not a requirement, but the suggestion is that our cards should be celebratory because it's our 30th anniversary. So I was always going to use the Enjoy Life stamp set, and my original design was not celebratory, so I've actually changed the design completely. So I'm using, I think the only stamp I was going to use before was this one, but I've then added Let Us Celebrate down the side, and that uses the balloon celebration, and it's this stamp here. So I just thought it would be a kind of easy way to do the whole celebrate thing, because having decided I was doing 4 by 4, I'd already prepared my card bases and my mats, the square mats, so I was a bit restricted. Anyway, we're 4 minutes, nearly 5 minutes in, and I haven't stamped anything. So I've set up my Stamparatus. I'm going to use all 4 sides of my plates, and this is where the Stamparatus is brilliant if you're doing mass production. So for Christmas, for example, great if you're making exactly the same card for everyone, then I highly recommend the Stamparatus. So I've just turned it round so that you can see the plate. All I'm doing is taking my early espresso and inking up my grass, and I'm using early espresso purely because I like a really deep colour. Early espresso is a good deep colour without going to black, and I didn't really want it black. So the plate will get dirty, but it's fine. So we just flip it over, press down, and then lift up, and in the process lift your mat, which is fine, it just means it's well inked. So that's that one. Then I am just going to grab, which I've hidden, oh there it is, my incredibly dirty, I really must wash it, chamois, just to clean that off because I don't really want ink everywhere, particularly on my hands while I'm making this. So just clean that off and turn this round again so that you can see it. I've got the lady over here, and again I've lined her up already. I'll just check that my piece is back where it should be, which it is. It doesn't matter for this too much if it's not exactly square. And then again, just ink this up, probably needs re-inking again. Ink up my stamp and flip over and just make sure that's well pressed. And again, it's going to lift up. And there is our lady. So I don't need the early espresso anymore, so I will close that up. And then grab my chamois again. And just clean the worst off my stamp. This probably needs a very, very good clean. Let's turn it over and use the not quite so dirty side. There we go. And right, time to turn my plates over. So lift it up. You lift it up perpendicular. Don't try and lift it out at an angle. Lift it up perpendicular. And I will, while I'm at it, change the other plate as well. Oh, except that goes somewhere else. No, I'll come back to that. Right, I'll just check that everything is lining up, which it is. And grab my lovely lipstick. Ooh, come on. It's a bit stiff because it's new. And ink that up. And flip that over and press each of these stamps just so that we know that they are stamped, which they are. And again, grab my chamois and wipe those off. Yes, this definitely needs more water on it. They need to be damp, not wet, but this is too dry. So I just need to add some more water, which I will do after I finish the video. Right, so I don't need this plate anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm also going to get rid of this, because I don't need it at the moment. I'm going to carefully remove my template, because I have a few more to make. And then this plate, I'm going to switch over to here, because my next piece goes in down here. So this was 2x3. The next piece, because it's a 4x4 card, is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Had to think about that for a while. Just check the placement. And again, open up my ink pad. Don't know why I closed it. Oh, come along. Just ink up my stamp. And press it down, and there we go. So that is everything I need the Stamparatus for. So I am going to flip that over. This is laminated, so I don't mind that I'm getting ink on it. I've just laminated a piece of the old grid paper. I must do a new grid paper. Pop that on the floor for the moment. I was going to put it down somewhere else, but I realised that somewhere else I was putting it on is metal, so all the magnets would get a bit excited. Right, so I have already cut my 8x4 card base, scored it down the middle. Now, if you're doing batches, and particularly if you're doing 4x4, I highly recommend that with your 12x12 paper, you cut it at 8 inches wide, and then you score. You score down the middle at 4 before you then cut the 4-inch pieces. Now, you will have a piece that's 4x12, and obviously you can get a card out of that as well. You'll get a card and a 4-inch square left over, and you can use the 4-inch square for bits like this or just general crafting. So I actually wouldn't recommend you use this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Use it for this. So yes, score everything together and then cut. It's much quicker than having to score 3 cards. Anyway, so fold that in half along the score line and burnish with your bone folder, she says, having lost her bone folder. Now, I will be putting, if I was using these for things other than swaps, I would put in just a blank Whisper White piece, but as these are for swaps, I don't. So, first things first is apply some adhesive to the back of your Whisper White. And I am using Tombow as much as anything because these are travelling. I want to know that these are going to survive. And I don't know what pressure in aircraft will do to snail, but I'm fairly certain that I'll be okay with a liquid adhesive. So the multi-purpose liquid adhesive is the way to go. So that's that. And then I've cut mats in all of the in colours, and these are 1/8 of an inch wider or bigger in each direction, so 2 1/8 by 3 1/8, and that gives you that lovely little surround, so it's not too large. It's a tiny little surround, which is all I was looking for. And what I do, because it's so small, is I actually add the glue to the mat, and that actually helps a little bit with the Whisper White not picking up the depth of the multi-purpose liquid adhesive, which can sometimes just wibble your Whisper White a wee bit. That's a very tight mat. Let me just pull that off and move this across a little bit. That's better. And then again, a scribble of adhesive across the back, and just pop that kind of central on your base. And then just repeat that another 100 and something times, and you've got your swaps for OnStage. So, thank you very much indeed for watching. I will be sharing as much as I possibly can about everything we're doing in OnStage as I'm allowed to share it. I hope you've enjoyed this. Do give these sorts of cards a go. I think 4x4, particularly for Christmas in the UK, great size to go. You will need to source some 4x4 envelopes because we don't do 4x4 envelopes, but or use your envelope punch board for particularly special envelopes. Thank you very much indeed for watching. If you need any products, please do consider ordering from me. Throughout the whole of November, I am doing a prize draw. For every £30 you spend throughout November and use the host code, and this really is vital that you use the host code, you will be entered into the prize draw for each £30 you spend. So if you spend £30 you get 1 entry, if you spend 60 you get 2, 90 you get 3, etc, etc. But you have to use the host code. So the host code is immediately below. It's also all over my blog. So if you enter that draw, sorry, my brain is going. if you purchase from me in November, you'll be entered into the draw, and the prize is an amazing prize. It's a full set from the catalogue, full set of the Many Marvellous Markers. So it's all of the Colour Family sets. It's £112.75 to purchase, but you could win it just for shopping with me. As I say, that's all the way through November, and there are details of that over on my blog. So please do have a look at that, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't already subscribe, there's a subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.